Alright, this is the second video in management reports explanation. We've talked about the first few sections. Remember, the management report is designed to help you be more efficient with your time and also to track what everyone on your team is up to on a week-to-week basis. It helps you stay organized, stay on top of big issues, identify problems, keep your team motivated, communicate. That's sort of a review of why we're doing this. We went through the first few sections. There's 5 sections: at a glance, progress, plans, problems, and priorities. In the first video we talked about at a glance, progress, and plans. I left at a glance up here because it's sort of an overview of what's going on very quickly, sometimes in graphical format. So almost everything else you do is going to correspond to those projects that you've listed in at a glance. So I just left it up there. But we're going to pick up by talking about problems section and the priorities section. The problem section is very important. It's the most often read section of management reports. And the idea in the problem section is to identify delays, things that are hurting morale, or things that you're not doing well. It's where you have issues, essentially. You're going to quantify the severity. That's very important. You're going to say how important is it in terms of severity, and then you're also going to state a solution and make sure that you mention who is responsible for implementing that solution. You don't want to downplay problems, and you want to hold people accountable. This can sometimes be painful when you're mentioning people by name in your management reports, so make sure that you give folks warning that you're going to mention them in the problem section. It serves as a good motivator for them to get things done, and it also will save you some headaches in terms of communicating with people. But this is a really important section, something you should put some thought into. Remember, if you're creating management reports and everyone can see everyone else's, it's a good way to look at what other people are struggling with to see if you can help other people solve their problems. So that's an important section. It's one worth putting some thought into. The second and the fifth section is called priorities. And what priorities, the priority section is essentially saying, what are the things that you should be focusing on, you should be spending time on. Sometimes it's things you're not doing well because you're going to shift your focus to a new area in order to accomplish the task. It should correspond to plans. It's usually a numbered list of brief statements, and it's like we talked about, it's areas that you need to focus on. And this shouldn't change every week. The priorities are sort of an overview of what your major priorities are. They may change once or twice over the course of 3 or 4 months at that type of pace, but they're not going to be changing every week. So remember, this is sort of what the management report looks like. You've got at a glance, which will have these little graphical indications of how you're doing on your individual tasks. You'll have a progress section, which will typically be bullet points, which will talk about what did I do last week. You'll have a plan section, which will essentially say, what am I going to do this week? You'll have a problem section, which is sort of self-evident, what am I struggling with and where are my problems? And then you'll have a priority section that says, what are the big important things that we're supposed to work on? So this should be relatively easy to do, management reports every week. Really, you're just going to take the one you did last week and you're going to save it as a new document. And in a perfect world, you're going to take most of your plans and shift them up into progress because you would have accomplished those things. And then you're going to write new plans. So it shouldn't take very long to write this from week to week because each week is an iteration of the week before. You're going to carry it with you. A lot of people use it during the week to keep notes on how things are going or to remind themselves by adding new tasks. So it can be sort of a living document that you change day to day. And then take a few minutes at the end of each week and publish this somewhere in a network drive, somewhere available to everyone on your team. So if you have 10 employees that are all working on a project, it's a very helpful thing for any of the employees to be able to open up anyone else's management reports and see what they're doing and what sort of progress they're making. Keeps everyone informed and it doesn't facilitate surprises where people feel sort of left out of the loop. So that's the idea behind management reports. It's a very simple 2-page document that you're going to use to track progress and to manage your team and to manage your time.